Doubting and comparing are two habits that will wreak havoc on your life. So don't let them take over. Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me here today. If you're new, I'm Amanda. Welcome to the channel where we are all about shattering the mental health stigma. If you haven't already, please make sure you make sweet, sweet love to that subscribe button, give the bell a few kisses so you're not missing any of this content designed to help you with your mental health or help you help someone else. Before we dive into the video, I just really wanted to say thank you so much to the community for being so supportive. As I explained in my last vlog and on my last live stream on Friday, I've just been really going through a lot. I've been really struggling, and the way the community has come together to support and love on me and help me through this has just been really beautiful, and it's definitely put quite a few drops in my bucket, quite a few deposits in my happiness bank, so thank you so much for that. Today, I'm going to be reacting to Bleed from Meshuggah. I think that's how you say it. It sounds like a ghetto version of saying, Mahugga, you know my hugga, I'm gonna give you a hug. That's just what I think. But that could probably just be my loopy brain right now, where I'm just feeling very out of it. But honest reaction to the name, there you go. But I have no idea what this is. No clue whatsoever. I don't know what you guys get me into. It's a request from one of my lovely Patreons who wanted to remain anonymous, but thank you so very much for your support. If you haven't had a chance, please make sure to check out my Patreon. Every single dime goes toward my mental health outreach, so it really helps me help the community so I can give back more when you guys need it. So without further ado, let's do Bleed by Meshuggah. That is definitely not a hug. It's not a hug for my ears. That is not a hug for my soul right now, but let's try our best to dive into the lyrics. I'm gonna check here and make sure that I understood a couple of things correctly. Okay, so the crimson liquid being spilled is obviously blood. The reference to of it being the fluid of life. I think the fluid of life being unleashed seems like the spilling is an intentional attempt to release oneself from life, unfortunately. And sensory receptors, because, well, science, yo. So sensory receptors essentially receive outside stimuli from the environment and convert them into electrical impulses that's processed by the central nervous system, so that our brain can tell us how to react accordingly. And if anxiety kicks in, if those anxiety symptoms kick in, it activates our sympathetic nervous system, right? So that's the fight, flight, or freeze reaction. So the sensory receptors can feel overstimulated, as your brain can feel like it's getting more impulses than it can process. And in that time, when that's happening, everything seems more heightened, everything seems very, very uncomfortable at best and excruciating at worst, but it can have that somatic effect, so it can actually overload your body, so you're feeling pain and you're feeling physical sensations from that fight, flight, or freeze reaction. I feel like I'm gonna have some really interesting dreams tonight, thanks to you guys. There is so much going on here. I'm guessing that she is a fate that's cutting the string of life, but okay, let me make sure. The fact that I even somewhat understand these lyrics is a testament to how much I love you guys and how much I've been listening to this stuff just to make sure that I'm getting the lyrics that I'm understanding correctly. Right, okay, so regurgitation of the micronemesis to me represents the looping negative self-talk that our shadow often seems to be pushing or salivating for our demise. So we can get caught in those loops, and it seems like that voice in our head is pushing for our demise, and that can be very scary. But as the song alludes, our brain has to malfunction for the shadow to ascend to power, right? So there has to be that malfunction in the brain, which is what a mental disorder is a malfunction in the brain. But we also have to accept this malfunction and not address it for that to really truly take power. We have to not fight back. We have to allow it to take over. So there can be that malfunction, but if we're addressing it properly, and sometimes that's therapy and medication, sometimes that is more natural approaches, sometimes there's certain supplements that one can take, sometimes it's journaling and self-reflection. There are so many things, but point being is if one thing doesn't work, you have to keep trying other things and building that skill set and that toolbox. But there has to be the brain malfunction and the our acceptance of the brain malfunction for the shadow to ascend to power. Okay. There was so much visual stimulation. We're talking about overstimulation there. There was so much visual stimulation that I feel like it's kind of hard to dive into all of it. But I kind of like the transitions of control there, the transitions of one person is feeling like they're chained, one person is trying to meditate and find stasis, find peace. And the persons below him didn't wind up back in what looked like that box, but were not they didn't seem afraid. They didn't seem like they were acting out in the end. It seemed like there was some kind of peace, but unfortunately, with the lyrics, it sounded like that's not the peace that we would hope for. Of course, the shadow wants you to heed to its commands, and that's largely what I took away from the chains, from the leashes, things like that. Because if you don't, then the shadow becomes irrelevant. If you don't feed it, then it starves and it dies. It becomes irrelevant, or it might not die, but it will wither and it will become irrelevant. But the shadow turns to less desirable vices because that's all it knows to cope. That's all it knows to get us through these things. And it can turn dark. It can turn very bleak very fast. But I liked I liked the line about the scornful gods haggling for the soul bit because it frames deities in the light of having contempt for for you, for the person, which even if you're religious, can seem true in moments of despair. Uh, I also thought the part about depletion kind of leading to deletion. Is that copyrighted? Somebody get on that and copyright that for me if it's not copyrighted. But seriously, when your own bucket is empty is when those dark thoughts reign. So if you're not, as I was talking about in the beginning of this video about how you guys were helping make deposits in my bucket in my happiness bank, we have to be regularly doing that, especially when we're in dark places. We have to be finding ways to make those deposits. And of course, trying to patch the leaks in the bucket, which can seem almost impossible sometimes. Believe me, I know. I've been feeling that a lot lately, where it's just, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm fixing the hole and another one springs up and I don't know how to add more deposits. It can be tricky sometimes, but it's not impossible. But if you're not making those deposits and things are continuously being withdrawn, then the dark thoughts will reign and it's going to spiral. I always find videos like this to be really interesting. They're kind of my favorites. I mean, there's the lighthearted fun ones that are just okay, some kind of dance video or whatever. But videos like this are very interesting because I could watch this video 100 times and get something different every single time because there's so many layers to it. I do like to delve mostly into the lyrics, so maybe I can do another video at some point picking apart the symbology here, but I really I think that we don't understand, if we're not, a person doesn't understand if they're not in our head, how many different personas, how many different layers there can be to our thoughts, to our actions, our behaviors, our habits, things like that. There's not just this person, and this is true for anyone, not just somebody that's struggling with mental health. There's not just this one person that we see. There's many different facets of ourselves that play into our mental health, for better or for worse. There's certain limiting beliefs. There's certain voices in our head, and not actual voices like someone who's living with schizophrenia would hear, but there's different thoughts, competing for our attention. And it really comes down to which of those thoughts are you going to feed? Like, which of those wolves are you going to feed? That makes all the difference with mental health. So thanks for introducing me to another new amazing band. Like I've said before, it's not really my style, but I've actually been kind of proud of myself that I can understand more and more, and I just kind of have to glance at the lyrics that I have. I learned my lesson after Lorna Shore to have lyrics up and available. I'm very proud of myself that I'm able to understand more and more now without having to completely read the lyrics. So that's pretty amazing. I feel like I'm growing in some ways. You guys are helping me grow. But if you haven't already at the beginning of this video, now's the time to make sweet, sweet, sweet love to that subscribe button. Make sure that you're sharing your mental health stories here in the comments. That is how we shatter the stigma, is by talking about it, by opening up and being here for each other as a community. That's what we exist for, is to just hold space for people who need to share, people who are needing to get it out. Sometimes that's what it takes, is getting it out of our head, so it's not sitting up there stewing. Share this video. You never know who might need to see it. And I love you guys so, so much. Thank you so much. Mwah.